morning. It's day 64. It is Saturday, at the time I'm recording this, March 5th, of 2022. And boy, Elisha has really captured my heart and the stories. And I read so many stories this morning, and king this, of king that, son of who, and the whole Game of Thrones thing is still happening. But there was this poignant story and a moment. It's like we just get a glimpse into a moment, and we don't even learn the end of the story fully. It goes into the situation. The king of Aram, Ben-Hadad, is ill. And this is in 2 Kings chapter 8. And his servant Hazael, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing, this is beginner, comes to Elisha. Elisha's in the kingdom right now, and he sends for the man of God. Ben-Hadad does. And so Hazael goes and says, my king would like to know if he's going to recover. And they are face to face. So we get this intimate moment where I can just picture Elisha's hands on Hazael's shoulders. And he looks at him and he says, the king will surely recover. But then he holds his gaze. It goes into detail of this really uncomfortable stare. He stares at Hazael. And then he starts to get really Hazael is what's happening here? This is weird. Why are you staring at me like that? And then Elisha, oh, you guys have to look at this. I know. Sorry, I gotta interrupt. Well, I came to stand at a different part of the park today just to get this view of the cloud kind of cutting through the sunrise. And there's even wispy clouds that are going up, which is very unusual. Maybe somebody who knows about clouds and weather can tell me exactly what that is. But there's so many different types of clouds right now. We've got these wispy ones. Here, let me turn around and look. See if y'all can see. Look at that. See the wispies that are right there? And then we've got these very, cotton ball clouds. We've got all the different types of clouds happening here this morning. Very dramatic. But anyway, okay, back to the story. So Elisha is staring. They're locked. Their gaze is locked. Hazael's getting really uncomfortable. This is weird, dude. And Elisha starts crying. He just gets really emotional. And Hazael's oh my gosh, what's wrong? What's wrong? It's okay. What's wrong? And he says, you are going to become king and you're going to kill everybody. You're going to cut down children with your sword and cut open pregnant women's bellies, graphic detail. And Hazael is horrified. And Elisha uses these words. He's good. I see these terrible things that you're going to become king, and you're going to do these terrible things. And Hazael is who am I to do such great things? That was weird. And then the story ends with Hazael going back and delivering the news to Ben-Hadad. That is true, but not the whole truth, that he will surely recover. And then the next day he smothers him with a wet towel. And then at least for now, that's where the story ends. But boy, I just really so we've covered a lot of ground this week. I have talked about going, staying the course, going all in, burning the boats, having a spirit of cooperation, going all out, like big stuff that you're like, yeah, high achievers. We're like, yeah, let's go fight, win. And sometimes when you get really caught up in that mindset, you can forget to give yourself permission to be human. And I know I can do that. I'm married to a high achiever. Like, we can really we could be so focused on our, I know my husband especially, like fitness goals, this or that, like, no pain, no gain, jock mentality. And, but you got to give yourself permission to be human. Like, you're still a human even though you're doing the Lord's work or you're doing these big things. And in the big picture of things, you do want to like stay committed, go all, all these big concepts we've talked about. But in the day to day, like, you're still human, and it's okay to feel the feels, feel the weight of it, even though you are very clear on what you need to be doing. You kind of have pre-decided, you keep your eye on the prize, but like some of that stuff that you deal with in the process, and even with other maybe difficult people, you can clearly see, like, I see your potential as a human. I'm here with you right now. I can see that there's a good part of you, but maybe you're in conflict with somebody. And it's just hard. It can be, to feel that, like, boy, we are not going to be friends by the end of this, or we are not seeing eye to eye. We've got to agree to disagree, like whatever is happening in your world right now. And I think especially for us as believers, that can be hard when you clearly see. Now, I don't think that's the case exactly with Elijah. So I'm going, taking the concept and going a little bit out of, in a different direction. But you all can have very different goals and both be on fire for the Lord. But maybe, and you come together for a time and maybe you even separate. I think we see a lot of that in the New Testament as well. Look at this, y'all. Woohoo. Gosh, so pretty. I even had a moment this morning. I was like, oh, it'd be nice to just stay here in my jammies, in my comfy chair. That's why I'm doing this whole thing, to get me out of that mindset. And then as soon as I walk out the door, I'm like, oh, I'm always glad that I got up and did it. Even on the moments when I'm like, I give myself permission for a minute to feel that. And then I move on. And I think that's the other thing too. Like, when we have these feelings and they can feel very overwhelming in the moment, when you give yourself permission to feel the feelings and be human, you actually can move through it much quicker. And our human minds would try to tell us, oh, can't feel this, don't have time for this, we got to just get the job done. And then what we resist or ignores persists, or it comes out sideways. It will, if you don't deal with it and process it and let it happen, it will come back and deal with you at a time when you really don't have time to deal with it. So that is the other lesson that I have learned the hard way. Is, because I was the quintessential good girl. I got the message very young, as a young child in a very chaotic home and environment. Put a smile on, be the peacekeeper, make sure everybody's happy, because there's a lot of negative, difficult stuff here going on. But when I behave this way, that makes mom and dad happy. It makes sister happy. Like, everything seems to be better. Felicia can be the one that's going around being the cheerleader and being the good girl. And, I'm not going to be the problem child. I'm going to be the one that just, at least I'm going to do my part to make life easier for everybody. Meanwhile, I made life really hard for myself, because that pattern, if we don't sit down with it and examine it, and if we're never taught to, we continue on with that pattern, and then it can get us into real trouble. And I was not allowing myself to be, I wasn't giving myself permission to be fully human, to have my own feelings, to be angry at things, to be sad about things. Gosh, it's making me even a little bit, there's still a lot that's pent up there that I've got to process and let out. Because it even makes me a bit sad to think about that, and to still know that there's a lot that is coming out as I'm giving myself permission to be human. So, and I know because I've met hundreds of them, and I am in a community with thousands of women, that I am not alone in this. So if you are listening to this and you are, that person who is stoic, or the, quintessential good girl, like putting a smile on, or maybe you have only allowed yourself to feel quote unquote negative emotions, like you're afraid to feel good feelings, because you got the message that wasn't okay. And so wherever you are on that spectrum of feelings and being, you are fully human. None of us is divine. None of us, we do have access to the Holy Spirit, thank goodness. And he helps us keep, a different perspective and the bigger picture in mind. But still, we are fully human, living human lives. And it's okay to give yourself permission to be human. As a matter of fact, it's really essential to deal with things and the emotions as they come, so that they don't turn into raging, while they're babbling brooks, while it's a few tears in the moment, rather than ignore it, stuff it, deny it, because then it can turn into a raging river that is just, splashing at the shores, or a tsunami that can take you and everyone around you out. So that is the nugget that God spoke to me this morning, as I've even dealt with some kind of heavy personal things that I have just let go this morning, and let God, like I'm just going to let go of these situations and know that God's in control. I'm not going to, I spent some time this week trying to be a little G God and control things and manipulate, force things, and I'm gonna let it go. It's not my show. I'm just a bit actor in it. Hey, Jan, good morning. I'm just about to sign off, but I will leave you with this, and I'm gonna take some more pictures. Look at that. I got you a lot of sunrise progression this morning. That's very dramatic. So I'm going to take some more pictures. All right. Bye for now.